Hi everyone. Picture this, you post a job and 1 hour later you already know who the top 3 candidates are with a data-backed score and a neat SWOT style breakdown. I'm Max from 4byte.ai and today I'll show you how I turned n8n plus OpenAI and LinkedIn scraping into my very own AI headhunter. I just say what I'm looking and n8n provides with a full list of potential candidates already scored on a scale of 100. With a SWOT analysis of each. How cool is that? In the next few minutes, you will watch me first collect one sentence hiring brief. Second, let n8n build a laser-focused LinkedIn search. 3. Pull real profiles automatically. 4. Score each person from 0 to 100 on a scale, no bias, just facts. And 5. Drop the results straight into Excel, ranked and ready. If you want to cut your recruiting time by 90%, hit the like button below and click subscribe so you never miss the next automation shortcut. Ready to go? Let's build. Alright, and let's start with n8n automation. So first of all, what we're going to start is, let's say we're going to start on the form submission. So we're going to ask the client to submit a form, what type of candidates they're looking for. So candidate submission form. Let me go with... Please submit the specifics of a candidate you are looking to attract. Okay, and basically here we're gonna add a name. What candidate are you looking for and how many? Okay, and for the placeholder we can say marketing experts in Germany, and we can say 20 marketing experts in Germany, for example. Okay, so that's approximately how it's gonna look like. Let's actually test the step. So we're looking for 20 marketing experts in Germany. So that's what the user is going to submit to find and score the candidates. Okay, so let's pin this data, and that's the first thing we're gonna take. The next thing, to kind of scrape the candidates, we're gonna be using API actor basically, and the API I've used it before many times. You just need to log in with your account. So once you log in, you're gonna see LinkedIn companies and profiles bulk scraper with the name Bevity. And basically here, unfortunately, the n8n doesn't have like a native inbuilt API connection, so we'll need to make an HTTP request to connect to our API actor. Okay, so we're gonna use this one. And in order to understand whichever endpoint we need to use, we go to our actor and actually see how it actually runs. So this guy is actually the actor that I found. He can get profiles, get companies. I've used it actually for a few times already in my videos, so you probably can find some other examples of it. So, right, so for this actor, we actually need to specify the query, what kind of candidates we are looking for. So let's take HR experts. And before I was saying how many candidates we actually need and in which country. So I was saying this because here we can actually limit how many results we can get. We can get like 10 results or 100 or 1,000 results, pretty a lot if you need so. And here we specify the country. So we're looking to HR experts 5 results in Spain. Okay, so if we hit start, what's going to happen? The actor is actually going to go on LinkedIn and find the candidates. Actually, it doesn't require my cookies, so it searches for 5 candidates in Spain. Well, I have to say here in advance that this sector is not perfect. So if you're looking to scrape 100% of people, this is not going to happen. It will find you people according to your criteria, but it will not scrape all the candidates. So that's what, I've encountered in other automations, that basically it scrapes some of the candidates, but it doesn't scrape all of that. So here's an example. We've got 5 different candidates, and basically we'll use those candidates to pass it to AI. But in order for this actor to actually run, we need to pass a few things here. So if we go to the JSON structure of this actor, we need to pass basically the keyword, we need to pass the limit and the country. Well, the problem right now is that our query that we have here, it says 20 market experts in Germany, basically is one whole thing. So instead of going straight to HTTP request method, we first of all need an AI that will actually read the query and separate this in 3 different variables. Basically, one being the query or keyword we're searching by, the second will be amount of candidates we're looking for, and the third is going to be location. So instead of this one, let's actually make another node and let's use AI agent. So AI agent that we're going to use will have a few things here. So first of all, we need to specify what are the key instructions for the agent. And here we can go with you are a helpful assistant and your job is to formulate a specific query to search potential candidates. Let's do to hire on LinkedIn based on the user query. Okay. So next we're going to specify you need to answer in JSON format as follows. And for this, usually we will add another require specific output format. We will need to click this and add the output parser. So I would go and specify in both right here and in the output parser. You'll see that in a second. So we need actually three things. So number of candidates. Let's do just amount. Oh, let's actually be whatever random number. It actually doesn't matter. So another one is going to be query. So let's do string, whatever. And the last one is going to be location. Actually do a lowercase for everyone, and let's do Germany, whatever. So that's our JSON format. And in order for this one to work, we need to add a specific format. Oh, and by the way, here we need to use a user query. So that's what the user is going to send, basically what candidates they're looking for, how many, 20 marketing experts in Germany. That's what the user is going to send. But the system message is a little bit different. So for this one to work properly, we need to click require specific output and add the output parser module right here. Okay, so here we got the output parser module and we're interested in structured output parser. Basically here you can generate from the example or define below. You just select the whole thing, delete and paste basically the JSON schema that we just entered. What it doesn't like here, it wants maybe this guy. Let's actually see if this is fine. I think that's fine. And we get back to our AI, and basically the only thing we're looking for is basically connecting our AI model for this, basically connecting the AI brain. So for most cases, I would use GPT-4o41 mini, and I don't think anything else here. You can specify the top P or that kind of thing. It's actually irrelevant here. So let's actually test the step and see if we get any meaningful results. Okay, so we got the output 20 marketing expert Germany. Okay, that's exactly what we were looking for. So let me actually pin those results, and then we can pass those results to our basically a LinkedIn scraper that is right here. So let me connect this guy. So now here we need to figure out whichever method we're going to be using. So in order to figure this out, for each actor, you basically, when you get in, you will have an API drop down here. You can go API endpoints, and here you will have different options to run an actor synchronously and get dataset items. So this will just run it, but it will need to finish. And in order to get the dataset items, you will need another API endpoint for this one, get last run dataset items. Instead, so that you don't need to bother and do different HTTP requests, you can run actor asynchronously and get dataset items. Basically, it does both. First of all, it launches an actor, and synchronously means that it waits until the actor finishes its run. So just using the post request with this API endpoint, we will be able to basically get it straight away. We don't have any authentication here. We don't need that. And the only thing we're left is basically send the body request. So those are the parameters that we are actually passing through. So 20 marketing experts in Germany. Okay, so send body. We're going to be using the JSON structure, using the fields below. No, we're going to be just passing the JSON formatted structure. And the formatted structure is actually right here. So if you want to use your actor, you go. So that's the input parameters that you're looking to add, basically. And this is the structure that you're looking to add right here. Okay, so we're not searching by name or URL, but we're searching by keywords. We're looking to get as many results as we put here, and for the location. Just the only thing that we need to do, we need to turn this to expression so that we can plug in our variables. I'm sorry, let's actually increase that a little bit. So we got to show our experts, and we have to take the query and put it right here. We've got the limit, and for the limit, let me put the amount of 20. And for the location, we can actually search for many different countries, but in our case, we're really looking here just for one country. So that's gonna be Germany. Right, so that's basically it. And I think what we can do is we can test the step. Let's actually see if we get any meaningful result. So now when you're on this one, you can go to runs and you can see that this has initiated a run. It means that we've done it correctly. And we can check the logs basically if anything is going on here or not. So let me actually see how that works. How many candidates we're actually looking to scrape? Oh, 20 candidates. Okay, this will take some time. We're gonna limit this a little bit so that we don't waste a lot of time. We can run kind of a bigger query later on at the very end, but for testing or building, we would probably use like a few, maybe 3 or 5 candidates. But let's actually, if we started, let's finalize with 20. All right, we got 20 dataset items, which is great. That's amazing. Right, so the next one is basically what we need to do. So we've got 20 different candidates and we want AI to actually score those candidates. But in order to score the candidates, we actually need the job description. So I have generated the job description right here. So imagine we're looking for marketing experts. So here's the information about the company, content messaging, digital acquisition, basically what the marketing expert needs to do. And think about your company will have your own kind of job description. So I have it right here. So before passing this information to my AI agent, I want my AI agent to actually retrieve the information about the job description before that. So that's why I'm going to add the Google Docs module right here. So go to Google Docs and we will need to get a document. Here it asks for document ID or URL. So that's why here you can basically go, and if you look at the address of your file, the kind of the part that is after d/ will be the ID, unique ID of your document. Okay, so that's how you actually get it. And we can actually test the step as well because it doesn't require any connection nodes. It needs to just to access exactly the file. And by the way, to connect to your Google Docs account, I've shown it in my previous video on n8n. You can see it somewhere here on the top. But basically, you go and sign in with your Google account, and that's gonna be it. And you will also need to pass the client ID and client secret after that. So I've showed it in my previous video how to do that, so I'm not gonna show it again. Okay, so let's close this down. All right, so now we get the content from that file, which is great. Okay, so we got the Google Docs file. So again, it sends 20 items here, 20 items here. It means it will be calling this Google Docs file for 20 times. That's not what we actually want to do because we just need it once. It's going to be the same for all the candidates. And that's why, of course, we want to probably place this guy somewhere here. So instead of here, we're going to be placing it here. So what actually changes? Well, it changes here. We have the one item come. So we call this database and get this file once. And here, then it goes to one file and then 20 files, basically 20 profiles generated here. We don't need to call this API endpoint for like 20 times because it's just the same document. And by the way, if you have different job descriptions for different positions coming, you can create another module which will have like Google Drive that will search for specific job descriptions in your Google Drive and then will parse specific file IDs and you will pass that ID here in Google Docs and it will access that file. So instead of you here, we're going to be showing like exactly the file we're looking to add. Instead, you can have like Google Drive module in, which is going to get specific documents from a specific folder. And then you can select the ID of a specific document that it needs to find and place it here. So that kind of a turnaround how you can build the same thing, but using different job descriptions in the future. Again, I have another video on this one, so make sure to check it. I will leave a link somewhere in this description on the very top. Right, so now if we test the step again, we don't need 20, we're gonna get the same thing, but I just wanna pin the results so we can work with that. And again, here we're gonna get 20 results, but so that we don't get 20 results, I suggest instead of 20, we're gonna be using just 5. Okay, so this guy is not actually working, so we'll need to reconnect that. But here, what I wanna do, I wanna test it again so that we don't have like 20 different items, but we have just 5. So let's actually save it and run this guy again. Okay, so we need to unpin the data. Let me unpin the data real quick. And we're gonna run this guy again. So let's test the workflow and let's say 5 marketing experts in Brazil. Okay, just for the sake of something different. Okay, so this guy doesn't work because we have to dynamically select the right parameters, and those parameters are actually coming from the AI agent instead of like JSON output that it was before. Okay, so for the keywords, we're actually looking for this. So the marketing expert. For the limit, we're actually looking for this number. And for the location, we're looking for this location. Okay. Before that, I want to actually pin this data just to make sure and we not lose it. Let's just pin it and let's just run this step because it didn't do it before. So now it's going to gather like 5 different candidates from Brazil and it will scrape that. Again, we can go to our API and check the runs. So this guy is actually running. It shows different logs. We're scraping 7 candidates or 5 candidates from Brazil. So we should get it. Okay, perfect. We got 5 candidates. What happens next? So now we're going to add our AI engine that will actually score all our candidates. So here we go, our AI agent. Here we have our AI agent. And here we need to prompt it a little bit more specifically. Let's actually, first of all, let's add a model. Let's go with 4.1 as usual. We don't need actually memory or tools here, but we need to prompt it a little bit more specifically. So for this example, I'm going to use a cheat code because I have pre-created prompts so that we don't waste a lot of time. So this prompt is going to be a longer one. It kind of follows the good best practices of how you should prompt your assistant. But basically it says, here is the role. You will function as a professional headhunter responsible for screening candidates, blah, 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 blah. We've got the context explanation. We've got a task. We have a couple of examples, etc., etc. What is important here to mention that actually I'm providing the instructions how it should evaluate each candidate. Basically, I'm giving it that it needs to do like, it's actually a SWOT analysis or SVRO. So basically strengths, weaknesses, risks, and opportunities. So we're saying, hey, you have to identify each characteristic of a candidate, like and describe it in 2-3 sentences based on their profile. And we're going to get the profile just in a second. Then I basically provide how you have to evaluate the candidates. So if we go here, we got the specifics and the scoring criteria. Let me actually make it a little bit bigger. So here we say, okay, the educational background we give to 20 points, cultural fit 20 points, 10 points for this one, etc. So there are pretty specific instructions how we should evaluate the candidate. And then we have a couple of examples, etc., etc. Okay, so I will actually leave a link down in the description to the blueprint of this file and this automation. So you can actually go after you get this one, you go click here from the blank file, you'll click import from file. You will be able to download this file from the link. And then basically what you would need to do, you will need to input this file. Okay, so that's how it works. And you will get exactly the same system as I do. And also here you'll be able to use the prompt so that you don't waste actually time here. Okay, just before that, we actually lacking the user message. And the user message, basically all the information we are passing to our AI assistant. Okay, and what information we need to pass? Well, we need to pass a few things. First of all, we need to pass the job description. And where do we get the job description for? Well, the job description actually comes from the Google Docs. Basically, the whole content right here is our job description. Just make sure you click the expression so that you can link the variables where you actually want them to be linked. And then we go with each candidate description. So how do we describe each candidate? We go with candidate name. So let's go with like name. And then we go to HTTP request. And then we have the first name and then we have the last name. So let's do it with a space bar. Then we go headline. And here we're actually showing all the information we need to pass to our AI. So here is the headline, let's say personal statement. And here we go with this guy. Then we go with about section. We've got the subtitle text. All right, so this actually candidate is not the best one. It has just one education. Okay, it has a few education lines. All right. Okay, so if we close that, licenses, again, you can pass licenses if you want. I'm going to be passing education. So let's go. We've got a few education institutions. So I want to make sure I have at least 2 or 3. So for education, I will go. So it finished this one, whatever marketing it is. Then I go in university. in institution, and basically I show the institution, and then I go during period this guy. So basically here I'm creating kind of a whole statement, what he has finished at what university at what time. Okay, so now we can also insert the education, the second part. Just the only difference is now I'm needing not the first one, I need the second item. Okay, the second item will be the first one, just because this programming language here, here in the JavaScript, the first order item is always with a 0. Okay, and then we go education 3. If for whatever reason any other candidate will have it for 3, that's gonna be the second one. Okay, so that's the third education item, order item. Well, now it shows the red one, and the reason it shows the red one because this particular candidate that is in our example, it doesn't have any third education, so that's why it will show in red, and that's fine. Basically, instead of the red ones, we will get like blank spaces, and it doesn't provide any additional value. So then we go with experience, and for the experience, I can probably use also some other things. So for example, it did the internship in... So let's do it the other way. So let's start with the title and then say in this company, and say during period this guy, in country, in, let's say just in, and let's say Sao Paulo. Okay, so let's go with this one. So that's gonna be the first experience, and then we go for the second one, and for the second one we need to generate for like the first here, and then if we have the third one, we can do the same for the third one again. So just make sure that you don't mix up the numbering. So the third is actually the second. And let me see, this guy has actually had 2 experience. Do we need more experience? I think for some candidates we might actually need this. So if you don't want to do this manually, you can go to chat.com and say create this for 5 order items, and we just paste this thing. So this guy will actually, well, I'm using 03, that's probably an overkill for this task, but basically I wanted to generate it this kind of 5 times. So experience 1, experience 2, experience 3, experience 4, experience 5. So instead of me just rewriting this, I can take the whole thing and just go right here and just enter it. Okay, and now we have each experience already pre-created. So the only difference is we don't get this guy. And why do we have here meta? I think that was exactly the one. Okay, so we don't have the country for the last one, which is fine. I mean, it was not available maybe, which is okay. So we get experience 3, experience 4, and we don't have actually the 5th experience right here. So that's fine. Then what can we also add? We can add languages if we want. So we can say that it speaks whatever is this language. Let me actually see in, and let me say in full proficiency. So that's what I'm looking to get here. And let me go like this. So let me say this is going to be the first one, and the second one will be exactly the same, just with the order item 1. Okay. So that's probably what we're gonna get. So basically we're gonna get the title, the languages 1, title Portuguese, native or bilingual proficiency. Then there are courses, and again, you can pass more information if you want. I think that's gonna be totally enough for my case. So more than enough, I would say. So now this guy is going to score each candidate. But the problem is that right now, if I'm gonna test the step, it's gonna output me a lot of information, but I will not be able to use this information to input it in some other file. That's why, again, I will need to output this information in the structured format, in the JSON format. So let's actually wait while this is actually going on. Oh, and we have here 20 candidates. We want to make sure we don't want it for 20 candidates. We want it just for 1, as we are testing this setup. So here we can go with the limit node, and we can say, let's limit this to 1. Okay, and now here, instead of going for 20, we can run it once just for 1 candidate, and to see if we get any meaningful result, so that we're testing. Then after we're finished, we're gonna erase the limit out of this scenario. All right, so now we got the output, and as you can see, we got the whole thing as a single output. It doesn't work for us. We can't just take the whole output and put it somewhere. We need specific things here, and that's why again here we need specific output format. We click here the link, and we're looking to add structured output parser again. We're going to define it below, and let's actually define what we are looking at. So first of all, we are looking at name. So let's go with whatever the name is, we don't care. So then we're looking for score. So let's say the score 100. This is just, for example, to understand what type of the format is requested. So here I'm requesting the number format, here I'm requesting the text format. So the next one is going to be, let's go with strength. Let's go with weaknesses. Let's go with risks. Let's go with opportunities. And what else do we have? Do we have anything else? Do we need anything else actually out of this one? We can add more. We can add the experience and stuff. But let's actually, let's do the summary. Let's do the summary. So that's how it's gonna look. So let's actually wait for the summary as well. All right, so now when we get back, let's actually test this guy again. So now we should be able to get like 6 or 7 variables that we can later on use to enter into our Excel file. Okay, so we've got the Yasmin, we get a score of 28, we got strength, we got weaknesses, we got risks, opportunities, and summary. Amazing, we have everything we need. The only last thing is, so we want to enter this into our, let's say, Excel file. You can of course use the Sheets or whatever other system. So let's edit, and here we need to add the name, summary. Let's do actually name, score, summary, strength, weaknesses, risks, opportunities. Okay, so that's how it's going to look. And then basically we're gonna enter this in each and every column. Okay, let's actually save that and try to access that file. So let me go with Excel, Microsoft Excel, and what we're looking to add here, append rows. So that's basically what we're looking to add. Again, in order to connect to your Excel account, you have to go right here. You have to pre-select your Microsoft account, log in with your credentials. Actually, I have to connect again, so let me do that. Okay, connection is successful. Once this is done, it's pretty straightforward. You're able to use your Excel account here. So then we're gonna go with the workbook. No, let's actually see. We're not interested in a table. We're interested in a sheet. So we need to append a row. Now here we need to find a specific file. So my file was something like headhunting. I don't remember what was the name. Headhunting assistant. So here we're gonna have just one single sheet and map each column below. So basically here we're gonna add the column. So now we have the name column. So we'll need to get the name out of this one. So Yasmin was the candidate's name. Then we got another field, which is the score. And for the score, we're gonna get this guy. Then we have summary. And for the summary, it was at the very end. Perfect. Then we go with strength. So let's link the strengths. Well, for the strength is a little bit different, just because we have 3 different kind of strength items. Let's actually input each of these, just because if we input the array, it's not gonna work. It works only when you input a single number, or I mean a single text value or number value, whatever. It doesn't work with array, so you can't input the array here. Okay, and this is basically a collection or an array. Actually, it's not a collection. So for weaknesses, there are a lot of weaknesses for this candidate. Unfortunately, I'm gonna go with just 5. I think that's more than enough. I don't need really more. So let's do the risks, and for the risks we have just 1. Let's do 2. And by the way, for other candidates, you may have like some more risks. Okay, So that's why you need to set like second and third, just for those, to account for those that might be in the future. So this guy in particular doesn't have any more risks, but it doesn't mean the other won't have. So you want to make sure you have enough to input the variables for all. And the last one is the opportunities. So again, here we go with opportunities, and let me go with first, and then there is a second, and there is a third, and I want to use actually the last one, the fourth as well. So here we have 4, here we have 4, here we have, let's actually erase this one, 4. Let's add one more here. Sorry, let's do this, and we have everything right here. Okay, perfect. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna test the step and see if we can add this variable. When we get back to this file, we can actually see the information was added, but it's a little bit hard to follow. So let me make it a little bit more visible. So let's do it like this. Let's actually wrap the text, and let's actually make it a little bit smaller. Okay, something like this. All right, and let me actually, let me do everything in the very top. So now the first one, we've got the Yasmin score is 28 out of 100. It's not a big score, to be sure. So let's actually take a look. Yasmin is an early career marketing professional with internships and ongoing education. So that's why it is a lower candidate for my opportunity. It has some strength, weaknesses, risks, and opportunities. Perfect. I think the system works perfectly. So if we go back to this one, instead of just one candidate, we can basically erase the limit right here so that this one can actually work for all the candidates. And we can actually save this guy and run the whole thing. And just before we run it, I wanted to ask you a single question. And the question is the following. We can make AI agent to access this specific file through the tool usage. So instead of just outputting the file right here and accessing, we can go something like Google Doc tool. Right in here, we can basically say, hey, you need to get a specific documents, and then we pass this document ID to this assistant, and then we explain why we need to use this file. We need to provide this explanation in the instructions instead of just directly pre-feeding that information. So a system will decide that it needs to access this file in the Google Docs. It will use the tool to access the file, and then basically will evaluate the result given the candidate's experience and education and so on. But instead of using the module right in the sequence, we can use it as a tool for the agent. And in my opinion, it is more safe to actually input it directly to have control over what information we're passing. But the AI agents is being very, very popular, and I see many people actually pre-feeding different tools to the agent. So the agent decides whenever it needs to use it. And I think in the most cases it will decide, but in this case, it will be used like 100% of the time. And here there is still a ratio, or there is still a chance that the agent will decide that's not significant because I have enough information. So my question to you guys, would you rather use it directly in this scenario, or you would use it separately as a tool? Please let me know down in the comments below. Otherwise, I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to use it right here. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to test the full workflow. Just before, I'm going to erase the pin data. And I wanted to run for like many candidates. Okay, so I want to see if there is any reasonable scale that I can run it at. And here, let's actually erase this guy. And let's say what we're looking. Let's say we're looking for 50, and we can go for more for 100 or 1,000. But I'm really interested to kind of test it and show you guys that this is working at a scale as well. But let's not go over like a bigger scale that will take us hours to do. Okay, let's go with marketing candidates, marketing experts in Germany, for example. Okay, so let's do something like this, and let's actually run it and see how that works. Right, so this guy was able to classify what we're looking for. This guy did access the right file. I mean, that's the only file here, so not a big deal. So now what's going on, if we go back to Amplify, this actor is actually running. So this guy is actually scraping the information of 50 different candidates in Germany, marketing experts in particular. So let's actually see how that works. And then we will have our AI agent scoring each and every candidate. This might actually take some time. So this agent will take some time and this agent will take some time. So let's actually leave it for a second, and I will be back when we finish the process to see if we got any success. All right, so the last operation is coming. Okay, so now we got it into Excel. I should say it took me about 6 to 7 minutes approximately. I think we're less than 10 minutes for sure, but something like 7 minutes, I guess, to run the whole thing. And basically we were able to score 50 candidates. So think about, if you're looking to score 100 candidates, it's 14 minutes. And if we're looking to score 600 candidates, this is going to be about times 4. So it's about 1.5 hours approximately. So again, if we're looking for a bigger scale, that would take a little bit more time, but still it's very, very fast. I mean, doing it manually is impossible. Doing it with a system is just amazing. So if we get back to the, basically to the Excel file, so here we can see all the different candidates. And if we go just to the very bottom of the file, actually, so here we can see we got the 50 candidates, and basically the very last one is Ian, actually the very last one. Okay, perfect. So now what we are looking is actually we need to make it a little bit more visible. So let me actually select the whole thing and let me make it a little bit more visible. Okay, and the other thing is what I want to do is I want to score it from the largest to the smallest. Well, okay, didn't find many candidates that be suitable for our business. Actually, for this guy, for whatever reason, we didn't get summary. Yeah, that's actually interesting. It shouldn't be like this. I mean, the AI model should be able to generate a summary based on the information it was provided, but as we can see, we're actually missing this part for some of the candidates. Well, that's interesting. Didn't happen before though. But yeah, at least it got the strength, it got weaknesses, risks, and opportunities, but it fucked up on summary. Okay, that's interesting. But anyways, we got the score, so we can score from the largest to the smallest. So basically this guy had 48 and was sort of like the best fit for my position out of 100, which is like not much, I would say. Well, I think one of the reasons, for example, here we can read what it provides us with: seasoned digital marketing professional, strong background, blah, blah, blah. If we look at the risks, lack of local market. Well, the problem with my job description was that it says that you basically need kind of local experience or local market knowledge, like in Latvia, which is probably bad because here we're looking for the candidates in Spain, and of course these candidates don't have like local Latvian knowledge. But I mean, in general, it's really good one. What I liked about this one, for example, it does say that this candidate, for example, doesn't have a specific experience working with Google Analytics, like the newer version, Looker Studio, or other apps. I didn't actually provide explicitly this information to the AI assistant, but it was able to catch up and understand what are potential drawbacks. So what kind of requirements you need to have to work in this position, and understood that this guy actually didn't mention it somewhere. So potentially on the interview, I can actually ask these questions. All right, so here is the final output, and basically now I can see that, okay, Hanad, Mohammed, Nina, and Sabrina, for example, are the best fit for my position. So I can actually go sort it out from the lowest, sort it out from the highest to the lowest, and basically understand, okay, so I may actually need to reach out to Hannah. And once again, so here is a little trouble, probably because I didn't provide it with the LinkedIn URL, I didn't provide it with the last name, but here you can pretty much quickly do that. Basically, you will need to add the LinkedIn URL right here. So you'll go to LinkedIn URL and you would say, hey, here is the URL of the LinkedIn so that I can directly reach out to the candidates. And then when I go to output parser, I would say, so here is my LinkedIn URL, and basically so that kind of the assistant understands and put it right here. And then you would get a LinkedIn URL. In addition, you would need to create a separate field right here and add this later on. So that you can directly, open the LinkedIn and write them directly. And, you can also make an AI assistant that will actually reach out to those people directly. So that's another automation that I may cover in the future. If you want, guys, more about this, let me know. Otherwise, I hope this was useful and we were able to build it in like 40 minutes. I hope you liked it, and I wish you good luck with your automations. And there it is, an AI-powered hiring pipeline that hunts, screens, and scores while you sip coffee. All the nodes I used are linked down below. Copy the flow, tweak the prompt, and start hiring smarter today. If this saved you time, smash that like button for me. Subscribe and drop a comment below. Tell me what the next thing you want me to automate. See you in the next build.